I'm dead. And I rise up. The day I rise up. I rise unafraid. I rise up. And I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up. I rise up the waves. I rise up. In spite of the ache, I rise up. And I do it 1,000 times again. The silence is it quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, mountains, bring it to its feet. Ooh, mountains. And I rise up, I rise like the day. I rise up, I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other. Welcome, friends. Welcome to this sacred space. Tammy and I, before we jumped out a little early, and before we let you all in, we prayed and really set the tone for this to be a sacred space for all of us to come together today. And we're so very grateful that all of you have taken the time to be here with us. Before we begin, I'm going to invite you to just take a breath and land in your chair, land in your body, land in this moment right here, because this moment is really all that we ever have. And again, we're so very honored that you're going to get to spend this moment in the next, let's say, around 90 minutes together. I'm going to encourage you to focus on your breath for a moment, just that natural breath. Focus on that breath. Put your feet firmly on the floor. And then I'm going to ask you to take your hand and put it over your heart. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and block out everything except for the sound of my voice. And I want you to receive this invocation. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing in your life is evidence of failure. You're here to be the version of yourself that accepts all of you while releasing what no longer serves you to create on purpose. This is the space that you are divinely appointing to be in. Settle in. You belong here. Thank you, my friends. Before we begin, I want to share just a little bit. I've been doing this being work for many, many, many years now. And where this all really started with me was about 13 years ago. And we're going to introduce ourselves, Tammy and I, to those of you who may not know me or may not know Tammy yet. I was introduced to it by someone who became a coach for me. That this book right here, can you see the book, guys? Can y'all do a note? This is a book that was written about this person. And he is the most loving powerful person I have ever been around. And this book changed my life. And I'm going to read from you the back of the book. And I want you to, as I read this, I want you to think about this as this time together, this workshop that we have invited you to. Okay. I want you to listen as if this workshop is this book. He says, I never wanted a book written about me. There are no testimonials on this book, right? So I never really wanted to be a coach, right? I never really wanted that. This was originally, I was really asked to coach somebody for the first time. Read this book, be here, and listen to the stories that Tammy and I tell you, and the frameworks that we give you today, as if it were about you, not about us. Okay. And here's the question, as you are here today, the questions I want you to ask yourself as you listen to us today, as maybe you read some of the slides that come across. Who would I need to be a more loving person? Who would I need to be a more effective person? Who would I need to create a level of confidence that is remarkable? Who would I need to be at peace fully with who I am? Who would I need to be at peace to be in love with my life and myself? Who would I need to live the most extraordinary life that I can live? And I promise that if you ever read this book, and if you read and listen here today about that, it will expand your state of being so that you can do exactly that. So, switching back to the workshop now, this particular workshop is not about goal setting. It's not about productivity. It's not about New Year's resolutions or pressures or words of the year, although there's a place for those things, right? There is a place for those things. We're starting here with identity work, right? Because identity is what precedes action. Being is what precedes doing. And what you create comes from who you are, right? So it's that experience of creating that comes literally from who you are. Your next year is not going to be really created by what you do. Again, it's by who you be. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy. Tammy will introduce herself, and then I'll tell you a little bit about me as well, and we will get started.
Hi, welcome everyone. We are so beyond blessed. Kristy mentioned that we prayed before we started, and even with that song when we started, I felt myself tearing up. I just am sacredly honored that you guys trusted us to be here today. And a little bit about me, and I'll share, a little about my background. You may or may not know me. Um, I've lived through a lot. I've lived through abuse. I went through a horrific divorce, was in court 73, 74 times in the last 3.5 years. And during that time also lost my son Joshua, which I'll tell more of my story about today. Um, I bring over 3 decades of experience in teaching and coaching, sales, leadership development. I've spoken on national stages. I've built successful businesses um, throughout the years. But what I will tell you, what shapes my work is my life, itself. And that's through grief and healing, raising a beautiful family, caring for aging parents in this stage of life, and learning how to rebuild from the inside out. And these experiences have given me a deep, deep compassion for women who are carrying a lot and are still trying to rise up. So walk the path. I am walking the path. My mission is to help as many women as I can to design their lives on purpose, um, to break away from old patterns, and to step boldly into who they were created to become. So thank you, Kristy. And she'll share a little bit more about her and her story, which is profound.
Mm. Everyone again. I am Kristy, and a little bit about background. I was an educator, and so, like Tammy, I bring more than 30 years of educating and ministry and leadership development, also build successful businesses. Uh, Much of that business part for me happened after a very pivotal time in my life. 13 years ago is really when I stopped living on autopilot, when I really began examining my life. Had a car accident that shattered my pelvis and shattered every identity and role that I had for myself. I didn't walk for a year after that. And it is that truth for certain that we sometimes have to be completely broken down to be rebuilt back up in our true identity, right? And so I'm excited to be here with you guys and bring lived experience that I have, skills of coaching, skills of teaching, but most importantly, my presence and who I am to work with you. So super excited to get started. All right. Um, This workshop, you guys, there's a slide on your screen right now that you'll see 2 Timothy 1:7. Did everybody see that on your screen? Can't see that? Oh no. Can you see that, Tammy? Yeah.
Hmm.
Can anyone else see that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Yeah. So for a long time now, uh, this has been a guiding scripture in my life. And so 2 Timothy 1:7, for we have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That's the foundation of everything that we're going to create today and the work that Tammy and I will begin to do in the new year as well. And before I actually, this scripture I heard this quote from Martin Luther King that really began to explain this in a way that is applicable for my life. And that is, sometimes when we think about power and love coexisting, they seem like they're opposites. Yeah. But the truth is, and this is the quote by Martin Luther, power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. And so, how is it that we can carry that paradox? I think it comes from developing a sound mind, right? Developing that ability to examine our lives and all the things that we're feeling and thinking and doing on purpose. All right. Our specific goal here today, Tammy's and mine, is to help here and then this year, right, is to help 1,000 women step into their power, their love, and a sound mind this coming year, so that they can create on purpose. And so the first thing we're going to ask you to do in the comments today is would you drop into the comments, what is your intention for being here today? What's your intention for being here today? We'd love to look at some of your comments. Growth, to rebuild, to become the best version of myself, to become more of who God created me to be, learning, growing, healing, all very beautiful. All right, my friends, well, let's step into it, shall we? Let's step into it. All right. I'm going to tell you where we're going today. So you'll see on your screen as well. This is the overview for where we're going today. We're going to give you a framework so that you can release 2025 and all of these non-useful thoughts that you're going to hear, what no longer serves you with compassion. We're going to step into what we call the 5 keys of conscious creation. We're going to do an activation exercise of that future self. And then finally, we're going to end up with integration and next steps. This is where we're going today. And so before we do that, guys, I'm going to invite you to turn on your listening in a way. Tammy and I have created what we call third level listening together. And so there's another slide on your screen. Do you see a third level listening slide on your screen now as well? Yay. I love that you guys are kind of helping me along with my tech, right? Um, if you've worked with me in the past, you know me and tech gremlins, right? This is one of the growth areas for myself this year. We're going to talk about stepping into third level listening. So let's start with the first, right? First, just the first type of listening, you know, you learned it way back in kindergarten when your teacher, someone like me, said, pay attention, right? Pay attention. You're here, your camera's on, you're not multitasking. Your mind is literally here, all right? And this is a good place to start. It really is. But often we're listening here for, you know, do I agree with this? So it's a good place to start, but it's really not a place where transformation comes from. All right. Second level of listening is active listening, right? So you're here with your whole body, presence, your senses are activated, your breath is here, your nervous system is calm. You're not necessarily trying to get anything, right? You are listening though for what I can do with this information. You're here to receive, and then ultimately you're listening for what you can do with this. Third level listening. What is this? This is intentional listening. This is what I call creative listening, right? This is where you actually create. And if you can read that slide, I said it's with attuned intention. All right. This is where you're going to receive what Tammy and I have to share with you today. And you're realizing that there's all kinds of things that it's mixing with your worldview, your experiences, your perceptions, your default patterns, all that. And it's going to inform what you create here today, right? So you are listening. It's you get to create the value that you receive here today. It's not you're listening to Tammy and myself, right? You're listening almost through Tammy and me. Does that make sense? Right? All right. So attuned creation listening. So if you would agree to third level listening, drop a 3 in the comments for us. We do that as best you can right now, right? And that is something that hopefully, if you stay with us, we'll talk more and more about and how that happens. That third level listening. I'm going to give you an exercise to do now too that will demonstrate exactly what I mean by third level listening. Anybody have their pen and paper with them? All right. I want you to pick that pen and paper up and maybe go to a clean sheet, maybe toward the back of where you're taking notes. All right. Remember, I said you create the experience, right? You're creating the experience of this. It's not what Tammy and I are doing. Tammy and I are informing it, but you're going to take it in and you're going to create with that thing. So we want you to imagine that it's 12:35 Central Time. The workshop is completed and you've gotten exactly what you needed to get by being here. You heard exactly the thing that was the gold nugget that changed everything for you. You learned or implemented something that made you realize your true identity and that you created this experience. And Tammy's going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and we're going to ask you to write your testimony of this workshop now. I want you to write what it is that testimony as if it's already happened. Okay? 2 minutes on the clock. I'm going to stop talking. Write your testimony. All right, friends, thank you for that. I want you to look at what you've written and realize that this is what you're going to create here, right? You're going to create that yourself here today with us. I'd love to see at the end of this if it matches up with what you are hoping for. So now I'm going to turn it over to Tammy, and we're going to step into our first transformation.
You, Kristy. I can't wait to hear those testimonies. Um, I'm very, very blessed to transition to this next step in this process, which is transitioning into something that was a new concept to me, but has literally changed my life in so many ways. And that is transitioning into understanding how to release. So now that we're here, settle again in our seats, we're present, we've set our intentions, even our outcome of what we're creating today. We are going to move into that first transformation. But before we create what's next, I've also learned that we must honor what was. This is where we get to release the grip of the years behind us so we can create space for what's ahead of us. But before we create anything new, I want to take a moment. I want you to join me. I'm offering this to you if you'll accept that we honor the woman who survived, the woman who held things together, the woman who made decisions when she was tired, exhausted, cup was empty, the woman who loved people through hard moments, the woman who kept going even when she wasn't sure she could. Take a breath for her. Kristy is her name. Dee Dee is her name. Shelley is her name. Every one of you that's here today, it's you. Part of today, and from a practical standpoint, we wanted to be able to illustrate this process. And through that, I have the honor to share a little more about my story. If you know me, you may know parts of it. But just really blessed to be able to share more about the story of there's parts of this story that probably most of you here don't even know. There's parts that I've held quietly, and I'm going to try not to get emotional. But for those of you that know me or don't know, my son Joshua passed away on December 6th, 2022. And he died of an overdose from a pill that he took. He had a friend that flew him to Las Vegas. He'd been struggled with mental health and addiction for several years and had been sober for 6 months. Was doing great. And he took something that was laced with fentanyl. Joshua endured more than any child should ever have to endure. He was injured playing football, which was a big part of him and his identity and his love and passion. He had a lot of pain, physical pain, which led to the addiction and the mental health struggles. He was diagnosed with bipolar, um, but behind those battles, there was even more. Um, he was physically abused by his father, mentally abused through religion, um, and more. And it shaped him, it wounded him, confused him, and it taught him that love and pain were intertwined. And as his mother, the one who, to the best of my ability, protected, I fought for him. I loved him every single day of his life. Um, on his monument, it represents this, that he was here on this earth for 7,227 days. And what I have learned through this process is that I have carried a very non-useful thought that nearly destroyed me. That thought that haunted me was I should have protected him. If I were stronger, if I was wiser, better, I would have left, if I would have. I can't tell you the countless hours and thoughts of replaying. This went deeper than guilt, you guys. This lived inside of my bones, is the only way I can describe it. Because for years, I tried to hold everything together, and it's a blessing to see. I see my friend Shelly here, who we go way back. We at one point had planned to write a book called Fun with Depression. Maybe we still will. Um, but I tried to hold it all together, and on the outside, often it probably looked like I was pretty good at pretending and putting on the mask of, the happy family. Um, I tried to hold the emotional safety for my children together, the spiritual grounding. And the truth was, I was just trying to be both a mom and a shield. And in a situation where no one could have been enough. But that belief that I should have prevented everything created a devastating problem. When you believe that you should have stopped another person's abuse, you start believing that you participated in it, or at least I did. I lived in a place of self-blame, shame, perfectionism, overfunctioning, thinking I had to fix every wound, not just my own, but everybody around me, carrying a responsibility that no mother can control, trying to reparent, trying to rescue, repair trauma that I didn't create. And underneath it all was a very deep and for a long time, an unconscious message that I was saying to myself over and over is that I'm a mother who failed him. There was a very big shift for me in a coach that I worked with that helped me to see this differently. And part of that shift was him saying that we are always being lived by the identity that we haven't examined. I was unconsciously creating my life. The shift didn't happen in a single moment. And I'm going to let Kristy jump in here in just a moment. Um, but there was a question that God placed on my heart. And it was a question that broke me open, but it put me back together. And that question was, what if none of it was my fault? What if this was only an assignment to love him and you fulfilled that perfectly? And what if this journey was to shape you for the work that I've called you to? It was at that moment that I looked at my son's story, at my story through a new lens. I began to see things differently. I saw the courage that even in his brokenness that Joshua carried. I saw the light that he shared in his smile, his eyes, um, so many things. His resilience, the compassion that he awakened inside of me. I don't like to admit this, but I was very, not intentionally, but I was very judgmental of many things. And the mother I became because of him. And the purpose being forged from that point forward through both of us. I realized I was never meant to save him. I was meant to love him through it. And I did. And what we're going to walk through next, and I'm going to do this together with Kristy, was the process that allowed me to offer myself forgiveness so that I would be able to create a new identity. So Kristy, I'll shift over to you.
Amy, thank you for sharing that powerful, powerful story. And I'm going to remind you of what we asked you to do at the beginning. And when you're listening, to listen as if this were your story, right? And I'm certain that we have all had losses and griefs, and because of, if we're not attuned to the fact that we're bringing that in, that input in, and it's mixing with worldviews and negativity biases that we have and all the default patterns that we are brought up with on survival patterns, right? It creates this identity that does not serve us, that's not true. So thank you, Tammy. I just want to hold space for a moment. If everyone else would join me and just hold space, maybe put your hand over your heart to show that you're in solidarity and this is a sacred place for not only Tammy, but for all of you. We're all carrying so much. Thank you. I'm going to bring to the screen um, a slide, and I want to highlight a part of Tammy's story that we want you to begin to commit to memory, that will hopefully follow you into 2026. And it's the concept of non-useful thoughts. A non-useful thought is anything that disturbs your peace, anything that pulls you into reactive patterns, anything that reduces your agency, right? I'm at the effect of this thing. I have no power here. And anything that shrinks your identity. So I'm going to highlight, go back and highlight, if you will, with me. Tammy said the non-useful thought that she had, if you recall, does anybody recall when you were listening? Or probably quite a few there. But the one that stood out for me was, I should have protected him from it all. Trish, right on. Yeah, nailed it. I should have protected him from it all. So Tammy's shift happened over time. And again, she said, led to her being able to forgive herself. We're going to give you a framework of self-forgiveness here to help you be able to shift these non-useful thoughts and be able to forgive yourself for them and release them maybe more efficiently and effectively and a little bit more rapidly than Tammy. She suffered quite a bit through this. We're not here to tell you that the framework that we're going to give you is the only way to do this, okay? But it's a way that's helped Tammy and it's a way that's helped me, and we're passing it on to you, and we hope that this is very helpful for you as well. All right. So I'm going to bring another slide to the screen, and this is what we call self-forgiveness as liberation. Everyone see that on your screen? All right. So this is a three-step process, and I'm going to walk Tammy through it. And as we're doing that, I want you to be thinking about your own situations and circumstances that you may be able to apply this to. So we're going to start with the non-useful thought itself, right? Forgive me, I just hit a button that didn't mean to hit. All right, Tammy. So that thought, that non-useful thought, I should have protected him from it all. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put that into an I am statement. That's the first step. Any non-useful thought that you recognize starts with should, all the characteristics of it I shared with you. Put that into an I am statement. And the reason that we put this into an I am statement, if you look at the slide, the whole idea of these non-useful thoughts are they're our thoughts, they're our judgments, right? It's happening up here. It's not something that's being done to us, right? So I'm the owner of these thoughts and I have the agency to shift them. So we're going to put them into an I am statement. So Tammy, can you walk me through putting I should have protected him into a I am statement?
I am a mother that should have protected him.
I am a mother that should have protected him. Okay. Now I want you to add in the emotion, right, between the I am and at the very third step, you're going to see we call the last part of it the untruth. But I am the mother that should have protected him. I want you to, in between the I am and the mother and that you should have protected him, I want you to add the emotion that you feel when you believe that.
I am sad that I should have protected.
Him. Yeah. So I am sad that I am the mother that should have protected him. That third step there, when you read that statement, I am sad that I am the mother that should have protected him. I call this the untruth, right? This is the third step. When you look at this, I'm calling this the untruth because this is the thing that we tell ourselves. This is the story that we tell ourselves that's informed by that non-useful thought. That's really just that narrative that's playing in our head from all of our worldview, all of our experiences, all of our negativity bias, all of our default patterns that have kept us in survival and protection mode for so long. And so now, but here's the kicker, guys. You can't tell yourself that's not true, right? I call it the untruth in quotations because every experience that Tammy has had before is telling her this is true, right? Otherwise, she wouldn't be thinking it. So now it's one thing to if you've been had models that say, well, just think the opposite. I mean, you may have been introduced to a model where you're thinking something that's not true, and you're told, just think the opposite. And everything in you is still telling you that that's the truth, right? This is where that self-forgiveness piece, we begin to liberate ourselves from these untrue statements, not by resisting them or trying to think something's not true when everything in us is telling us that it is true. The third part of this is we literally say, and Tammy, I'm going to invite you to do this. I forgive myself that I am sad that I am the mother that should have protected him. I'm going to repeat it. I am sad that I am the mother that should have protected him. Forgive me, I forgot the self-forgiveness piece there that time. I forgive myself that I am sad that I should have protected him. Tammy, you want to say it?
I forgive myself that I am sad that I should have protected him.
You want to say it again?
I forgive myself that I am sad that I should have protected him.
And guys, I want you to bring to mind anything that's coming up for you personally and go through that yourself. I forgive myself that I am emotion for whatever truth that your experience is trying to make you believe. Anybody, is anything coming up for anyone? Remember, this is a safe and sacred place that I can help walk you through, putting it into an I am statement, finding the emotion for that, and then how to release it. Anyone want to walk through?
I do.
Okay.
Mm.
Can you share the non-useful thought with me?
Oh,
Take your time.
okay. The thought. I am angry that I wasn't able to save my son.
That's so beautiful. I want you to sit with that. Say that statement again, Teresa.
I am so angry I wasn't able to save my son.
Emotions. So often what we are taught to do is to resist them, push them down, act like they aren't there, put on a happy face, keep going.
That's true. That's true.
And in truth, if we can name the emotion and claim the thought and allow that, the physiological response that we have to that in that particular moment will last for about 90 seconds. And then we've let it full circle. And guys, if we continue to work together personally, professionally, because it comes into business as well, or spiritually, there are many more things than I can teach you here in this particular workshop. But one is also just shaking it off. Out in nature, when something bad happens to an animal, have you ever seen an animal when something happens, they just start shaking after it's over? There's so many things. I didn't even, there's so much, but just allowing that. And then we start the forgiveness process, Teresa. And so then I want you to repeat this. I forgive myself that I am so angry that I could not save my son.
I forgive myself that I am so angry that I could not save my son. I forgive myself that I'm so angry that I could not save my son.
I'm following your lead. If you want to do it one or two more times, we're here for you.
I forgive myself that I'm so angry that I couldn't save my son.
Teresa, I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed the relaxation
I
that you
did.
had in
I
that
did.
last.
I
Yeah.
did. I forgive myself that I'm so angry that I could not save my son.
So
Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and feeling sacred that this is a sacred space and you're safe enough to do that. Anyone else? All right. Tammy and I've done this work, and now I'm going to change it back over to Tammy because she's been able to now release that shift into a new identity. Because the identity that she left with, remember, was that statement that she told herself, I should have protected myself, my son. I should have shielded my son. Now it's what was the identity? Oh, I'm a mother who failed him. That was the identity that she was living from. I am the mother who failed him. And Teresa, I don't know if that resonates with you, but maybe that's the identity that's behind. I'm so angry with myself that I could not save my son as well.
It is.
And so, Tammy, do you want to pick up and talk about your new I am statements?
Yeah.
As and one thing I want to add here, guys, is if you're joining us tomorrow for the VIP exclusive event, there is a process that we're going to take you through because you don't just arrive here today at this present moment believing I should have protected my son, right? Anything that you're dealing with, it's not something that arose today. It started a long time ago. It's been a pattern for you for a long time. And so we're going to take you through an actual process that Tammy and I have been through that it really releases it. Okay. All right. Because right now, if we're participating in is present moment. So I'm going to turn it back over to Tammy.
So through this, um, it allowed me to create new I am statements. And I'll share those with you and then share a couple things that I've done. Because like I said earlier, this isn't it's not one and done. It's not like I walk through this and I'm like, oh, it's all better. Um, it's literally rewiring our brains. It's a lifetime. It wasn't just about my son. It was a lifetime of abuse. It wasn't, that all intertwines that Kristy was talking about. But those new statements that I have created for myself is I am a woman who transforms pain into purpose. I am a mother whose love continues to heal generations. I am the creator of my life, not the casualty of my past. And I am the one that God trusted with deep things because he knew that I would turn them into light. And my coach had recommended, and it felt weird. I will just tell you, at first felt very strange that to record myself speaking that and to listen to it every day or however many times a day and to consider, and I did this, and if I'm going to tell you, this has been powerful. It was powerful listening to myself, but I've asked my kids to record these and to speak these things. And I listen to it, and it's changed my identity.
And some of these I am statements then that we're creating this way, this becomes part of the be and blueprint that Tammy and I have been talking about that you've seen in our emails. And this becomes part of your be and blueprint. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Let's see where we are, Tammy.
We are
So
transitioning to the
powerful.
5 keys.
Yeah. This is where now we're going to transition now that we've released. Here's one thing I want to say though before we move into that. Tammy said, I am someone who turns pain into purpose. That's part of her being statement, her I am statements now. And this is the whole point of the work that we are doing, that everything that we do is created on purpose. It's not happening to us. We're creating it on purpose. One of my spiritual mentors, Richard Rohr, says if we do not transform our pain, we will transmit it. If we do not transform our pain, we will transmit it. Hurt people, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, intentional or unintentional. And so, all of us here, I would like for us to take a minute and send love and prayers to Tammy's ex-husband and hope that he finds a way to transform his pain into purpose and stops the cycle of transmitting pain that hasn't been transformed. Would you join me in that? Just sending up a prayer. Maybe Tammy, you could say his name and we can say it like say his name and
Yeah. His name is Edward.
Edward. Yeah. So Edward, we hope that you find your way. We send you love and prayers that you can transform your pain into purpose. Here, we don't see anyone as a villain, right? We see someone as they have not yet been transformed by the power of love and self-forgiveness. All right, let's step into conscious creation. Who's ready to step into conscious creation? Everybody ready to shift gears a little bit into conscious creation? All right, I'm going to give you a slide. Everyone see that slide? All right, friends. Conscious creation. They're up there for you. You already see them, the keys themselves. And we're going to go through and kind of just explain them to you. The first and the second one probably are the most powerful, in my opinion, maybe the third one as well. Um, and they can be very disruptive, you guys. Okay. Very, very disruptive. The first key, especially, right? So the first key, and you're welcome to say it with me, even if you're unmuted. The first key is decide that you are creating everything. Decide you are creating everything. Now, what do I mean by everything? Everything. I want to decide that I'm creating everything. Here's a question to help you ask yourself if you're ready to step into this. Such a powerful question. Are you ready? Yeah, powerful, powerful question. How am I creating this? Tammy, you might want to drop that into the comments for them. How am I creating this? What is the this? Everything. How am I creating this? Now, when you look at this, the story that Tammy told, or anything that we're going to talk about in the future, this is not an indication or a question of blame. All right. This is not fault. It's not about guilt or shame. All right. I want to talk about the distinction between those a little bit here. Blame says I caused this. It means something about me. It leads to those non-useful thoughts that create these identities that don't serve us. Are you with me? Right? Power says this is this distinction. We're talking about agency and power here. Power says I may not have caused this, but I am willing to see how I contributed to the experience of it. This is about authorship and agency and sovereignty and creating your life on purpose. Guys, only women and
Mm.
mostly women are who we're going to work with, who are ready for radical self-responsibility and creating a life truly on purpose, can tolerate that question. Just by a show of hands. And here's the other thing I want to share. I've said this before. We're not telling you this is true. Okay. We're sharing a perspective with you that's helped us create everything in our lives that we want to create. Now, it doesn't mean that stuff doesn't still happen. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but we're still creating on purpose in light of those things. Who's ready for that? That's here. Who wants to live their life that way? All right. I love it. I'm going to give you some places where you can apply this question. Let's do it about your business first, because many of you have businesses, right? How am I creating lack of customers? How am I creating that? How am I creating lack of engagement on my posts? How am I creating inconsistency in how I show up? How am I creating this plateau in my business? How am I creating this backward slide in my business? How am I creating that? Not what's happening out there. How am I doing that? Ask it in relationships. How am I creating the emotional distance that I feel? How am I creating the story that I tell myself about my husband and how he shows up? How am I creating tension or disconnection? How am I doing that? How do I create my husband? This is a big thing for me, you guys, over the last few years. I create my husband every day. I create him. I create him. And internally, how do I create my overwhelm? How do I create my exhaustion? How do I create blame? How do I create fault? All the things. This question is about power. And seriously, guys, if you're not pushing back a little bit, going, oh, you probably haven't fully grasped it, and it's okay. We invite you to come on the journey with us, and we'll help you see over and over again that we are creating this. A little bit of a deeper insight. This helps you stop arguing with reality. This type of power helps you stop arguing with reality. My spiritual mentor, again, Richard Rohr, you'll hear me talk about him a lot. He says the first forgiveness always is of reality itself. What if you just forgave reality for being reality? Interesting thing is that we don't really see reality. We see our experience of it anyway, but that's that level that we can bring to that I'm creating everything. Your identity becomes the cause, not the effect. And your choice is access no matter what's happening to you or what's happening for you. All right. I'm going to give you a quick example of this. Okay. Quick example of this, if you allow me to. In 2020, I earned an incentive trip. I earned many incentive trips, but that was the year COVID was going on. Everybody remember that year? Yeah. So I earned a trip to Maui, my husband and myself, 8-day trip to Maui. We followed every protocol. You remember there were so many. Like we had to take the right tests, we had the right timeline, the submission process for we didn't have COVID. Everything got approved. It was done through a travel agent. It was approved by her. There was an app for Maui itself. Everything was approved. That we land in Maui, you guys. We walk up to the checkpoint and the agent says, when we give her the stuff, I'm so sorry. Your COVID test was not from a pre-approved facility. She said, you had two options. Here's what we could do for you. You can stay. We'll check you into your hotel. We'll lock you in to your room from the outside, and you can stay for 8 days there. We'll bring you meals, all the things, right? Or you can fly back to Los Angeles, take a COVID test at an approved facility, and come back in a couple of days, which I would have missed half of my vacation. Oh, you guys. Right. My husband in it just automatically went into reactivity. I could see it. Right. Frustration started coming, anger, right? This is ridiculous type of energy. Didn't say anything, is looking at me. And I felt it rising. I did. I felt it rising in myself here, but this is where key one lives. This is the question I ask myself. How do I want to create this experience? What do I want to do here? Right now, the experience I'm having of it, but what do I want to create? I couldn't control the rule or the island or the airport or the agent or anything like that. I did take a breath. I settled my nervous system, came back into my power, right? And I looked at the agent and I said, everything that we did was exactly what our travel agent instructed us to do. It was approved through your app. So I'm going to give you her number and I'm confident that you'll take care of this. Right. Very nice to her. Just I'm positive that you're going to take care of this. No pleading, no pushing, no anything like that. So she set us out of the line. She tried calling, no answer. She came over a couple of times and said, I can't get her. I'm so sorry. And I just kept reiterating, you're going to take care of this for us. You're going to take care of this for us. You're going to take care of this for us. All right. Because neither of those other options worked for us. I was soft, warm, but I was unequivocal in what I wanted to create. And so what happened next? About 15 minutes later, she came over and said, you're clear. We're checking you in. We had a great vacation. We didn't get, and to this day, you guys, I don't know whether or not we took the right, I don't know that, right? I don't know if she found some kind of loophole or she just simply saw that I was unequivocal that I was not going to go back to Los Angeles or do anything different. But here's what I do know, right? I created my experience. I did not let circumstances create that for me. I chose who I was going to be in that moment. Didn't collapse, didn't react, didn't outsource my fear or pain or frustration. I held on to what I created, what I wanted to create. And reality reorganized itself around that. All right. Key two, my friend Tammy.
Love it. Love that story. I can't say that I would have reacted that way, but maybe.
Anyone else? Could you have
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that, right? Think about that. Yeah.
Powerful,
Very
powerful.
true story.
Okay, we are moving on to the second key, which is do only what you love. Whew. So do only what you love. Love is a creative frequency that we get to tap into. And yes, this one is disruptive as well, if you fully understand it. So let's dive into that a little bit. When I say that, do only what you love, anybody, does your brain automatically jump to things like, well, I don't really love doing laundry. I don't like cleaning my house. I really, really don't love conflict with my spouse or kids or anything, right? What's the point? The key is not about changing the action. It's about changing the being as demonstrated in that story with Kristy, bringing the being into the action because you can choose to love anything or you can choose to stop doing it. It's a choice. It's interesting when we were going through this and just a really quick story of a person who demonstrated this to me in a way that I had never seen in my life. Um, when I had my first child, I was convinced that I was going back to work 6 weeks later. That didn't happen, but I had hired a nanny who lived with us, and her daughter lived with us. And to this day, I have never met another human who demonstrated the idea of everything she did was with absolute gratitude and love. And you could feel it. Whether she was scrubbing a floor, she could do anything in the world. She sewed, she built a bench for my son Joshua's room. Like I think when I reflected on this key, I thought, yeah, she had a choice. We all have a choice. And this is powerful if you can tap into that. So I'm gonna switch back over to Kristy, and she will.
That one right there, you guys, that do only what you love. It's again, it's about that the level of being that you bring to what you do. I have another quick story about that. Um, my husband and I lived on a boat for a while, and we were getting ready to go to the Bahamas, and I had to take a lot of food because there wasn't anything over there. And I had to take all of on our canned goods, everything, I had to take all the paper off because you can get bugs, right? They love that paper. And so I found myself one afternoon with, I'm talking like hundreds of cans and spaghetti sauces and everything. I had to take the paper off of everyone. Can you imagine sitting there and taking all that paper off? And I find myself doing, like pulling it off and I noticed that I was doing that I was having this frustration in doing it. And I just settled down and I thought, I'm doing this activity because, I want to provide food for my husband and myself. And I want to make sure that our boat is clean and free of pestilence and potential for disease, right? So love the means for how you get there and not just the end result. How many times we're working toward get to what we love and happiness as an end result instead of the means by which we get there? Does that resonate with anybody? Yeah, love the means. When you're doing dishes, feel the water on your hand, right? Slow down a little bit. Love it. All right, stepping into the third key.
Awesome. Okay, the third key is we create being through conversation and the power of words. There's a quote that is from the 1950s that language is the house of being. So we know ourselves and we know the world through words, and words become language. It becomes the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell. And that story becomes our identity, and identity becomes action. And those actions become our results, and they become our life. It becomes our being. So there are four things that shape.
Yeah, good to know. Okay.
Oh, sorry. There are four things that shape our being, and we're going to talk through those. We're going to divinely dance through these because this is a big part of the tools and the process that part of this coming together with you today is that we want you to walk away and have practical application of things that you can take your situation, take your life, and step into this new thought process of being. So the first one is our feelings. They're powerful because those feelings lead to our thoughts. And the bigger umbrella is circumstance. So the circumstance, what I have found is the circumstance often there is nothing I can do to change it. I can't change the fact that my son is no longer here, right? But it elicits those feelings, which elicited those thoughts for me. And it's a powerful process. And I encourage you to take the time to write it down, to write out those feelings, to write out what those thoughts are. And I'm going to transition over to Kristy to talk about the next two, which is your beliefs and your perceptions, because that impacts how these all flow together. So Kristy.
Thank you, Tammy. Many of you maybe here have heard this idea that your thoughts directly influence your feelings, and a little bit of a reverse of what we're saying here. Truly, by the time we get to our age in life, I'm looking around the room right now, when we get to the midlife, we kind of get addicted to a feeling, and it's really our thoughts that fuel that feeling, continue to fuel that feeling. All right. So, and our feelings are, we need to start naming them. This is the thing about language. From going back to the I am statement, putting the emotion in, being able to name how you feel, right? And then you can go, okay, what thought am I thinking that did feel that? And I'm going to say, guys, those thoughts that you have had, there's some research around, and I wonder, I'm going to drop this in or ask you to drop this in the comment. How many thoughts do you think we have per day? Anyone know this? You have an idea about how many thoughts an average human has per day? Let's see, 60,000, Lee says. 1,000, yeah. Big disparage, or yeah, between those two things, between 40 and 70, Trish said. Yeah, Trish is 600,000. Wow, Dee Dee, that's a lot, right? You're an overthinker for sure. There's the old adage is around 60,000. The truth is it's a little lower than that. It's probably between 40, around 40,000 for the average person. Maybe if you're an overthinker, a little bit more than that. But that's still a lot of thoughts per day, right? Now, again, I'm looking around the room at our age gap. Does anyone know who Eckhart Tolle is? By just a show of hands. done a lot of research on thoughts and those types of things and presence and being and all the stuff that we're going to talk about in this working with us. He says that of those 40 to 60,000 thoughts that we're having per day, 97% of them are the same thoughts we had yesterday. 97%. And the ones that we had the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. Okay. And so here's what I'm going to share with you. Your beliefs, these are the things that that you 100% believe without even questioning those things, right? Your beliefs shape your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs shape your perception, how you see. And it's literally that thing, guys. How you see is what meets circumstance in the world. How you see. Most of us think we see clearly. Do you think you see reality clearly? None of us think we don't, right? We're like, at least I know now I don't, but I used to think I see clearly. Why can't my husband see that? Right? We all think that we see circumstances clearly, but we really don't. We're meeting always people, circumstances, and things through our experience and thoughts that we have of them. I'm going to show this to you right now with something. I said it's with things too, right? I want you to get your pen out again, and I'm going to give you a couple of questions around the topic of money. Anybody have issues with money? All right. Y'all ready for this? I literally have 5 questions for you. Let me pull it back up. I want you to write your answer to this. All right. What's the first thought that comes to mind when I hear the word money? Don't think too much about this. Just jot down a couple of words. What's the first thought you have when the word money comes to mind? All right, I'm moving on for time's sake. Number 2, what feelings come up when you think of having more money in your life? What feeling comes up when you think of having more money in your life? What belief do you hold about people who have a lot of money? All right, and we're going to do the final question. For time's sake. If money was just a tool, if it was neutral and just useful, what would your honest feeling be about money then? All right, anyone brave enough to share their answers with me? Hey, Dee Dee, friend, what's the first thought that came to mind when you hear the word money?
Not enough.
Not enough. All right. What feelings came up when you thought about having more money in your life?
Peace, peace and calm.
Oh, okay. Yay. Peace and calm. I love that. And what belief do you hold about people who have a lot of money?
They're more fortunate than I am.
They're more fortunate than you are. Okay. Beautiful. All right. We're going to shift now, and I'm going to ask you to read your statements back. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to repeat your statements back. Okay. I'm going to change the word money though for the word shovel.
For the word what?
For the word shovel.
Shovel?
If
Okay.
we believe that money is a tool and it's useful, it's no different than a shovel that is a tool and is useful, right?
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. So you're going to read your statements back, your answers back. Dee Dee, what's the first thought that comes to mind when you hear the word shovel? No, read your answer that you did with money. Read the same answer.
Not enough.
There's not enough shovels in the world. Is that's kind of ridiculous. You can go to Home Depot and right, you see that? Okay, number 2. What feelings come up when you think about having more shovels in your life?
Peace and calm.
Peace and calm. It could cause that, especially back in the garden days. Do you even have a shovel, Dee Dee?
No, I
You have
don't.
that, okay. And then number three, what do you believe about people who have a lot more shovels than you do?
They're more fortunate than me.
Are they? Really?
No,
Is it more fortunate
no.
to have shovels?
I'm pretty
Right.
fortunate. I don't have one.
Yeah, the point of this, if anyone said something like greedy or, whatever the answers are that you gave, and this exercise can go much farther than just those initial three questions. you know, the point of this is to see that we have all these thoughts, this inner dialogue that we're creating, right? Conversation that's going on in here that's creating with every single thing how we feel about that thing, what we think about that thing, what we believe about that thing, how we see. Was that helpful, everyone? Yeah? Was that someone helpful? Okay. Yeah. Interestingly, I think this idea, Tammy and I call this the divine dance, because we create being through conversation. And we've acknowledged here that it's circumstances, right? We meet circumstances, and it's our see how we see that meet circumstances that really does create reality. So there's a co-creation, and it might sound like this particular key contradicts key one, but it doesn't. It doesn't contradict it. It's a little bit of a paradox, right? It's almost like, in the Bible where it says you have to lose your life in order to save it, right? There's this paradox. Us being able to live with paradox definitely is a sign that we're moving toward a clearer mind and a sound mind. So that divine dance, the word divine dance, Tammy and I use that quite a bit. That's how our being is meeting circumstance. How our being is meeting circumstance. Was that helpful for anyone? And again, a lot of this, guys, this is not you hear it one time and you get it, right? It's not that kind of work. So we hope that you'll stay with us more and more and more. I'm going to turn over now we're going to quickly do the 4 and 5 key, Tammy.
Yes. So the fourth key is allow everything, accommodate little. So this key is the key of discernment, where power, love, and a sound mind all intersect and meet. So it's the ability that you let your inner world be vast and open, but you're very careful about outer boundaries, that they are sharp and that they're clear. So what this means. So allowing isn't agreeing. It doesn't mean that you're approving, and it doesn't even mean you're choosing it. Allowing simply means this: if I don't resist what is arising within me and I allow clarity, what does that require of me, if anything? So learning to appreciate and to let that emotion move through you, as we talked about, those feelings that we often shove down, right? Let disappointment speak to you. Let the uncomfortable truth come to the surface, because allowing is an internal openness. And instead of resisting, because what happens often if we resist is it persists, right? That's the 97% of those thoughts happening over and over and over every single day, I believe, is tied into that as well. That how many things that we carry, that we hold, and then we bring into that. So accommodating is different. Accommodating it's what you do. And it says, I get to choose to invest the energy into doing or not doing. And we have a choice to do that. So this is where boundaries live. It's where wisdom lives. It's where clarity lives, and it's powerful.
It is powerful. And Susie, I know that you bought the VIP experience, so I hope that you'll come back tomorrow and or Monday to talk about, you ask a question and well, excuse me, that was before that. You ask about how can I get my need met with respect and not escalating the situation? We will get into that. I'm going to give a little bit of an example here about this allow everything but accommodate little with my mother. We all have mothers here, right? And there's lots of stuff that come up with our mothers. I mentioned earlier that my husband and I lived on a boat in the Florida Keys for a couple of years, and we, from the very beginning, would encourage her, please come down and visit us on the boat. Now she's a little older, and we'd say we get you a hotel room, but we want you to see the boat. We want to take you out on the boat. Never came down. We brought the boat back home as we came back to North Alabama, and we kept it at a marina that's about an hour away from where she lives. And on Labor Day weekend, we said, Mom, we want you to come out. We want to take you out on the boat. There's an inn here. You can stay overnight. We're going to take you to the restaurant. And she said she would, and then eventually did not, right? Did not for some other reason. And about 2 weeks later, you guys, my brother and his wife and his mother-in-law asked my mother to go on a sunset cruise at the very same marina. And she went. Now, I could have I did have feelings that arise from that. Oh, well, she should have. My boat is there. They literally like went right by my boat on this sunset cruise. And all of the things that I was telling myself is my mom should have done this with me, right? And so I can allow the feelings that I have, right, without making it mean that my mom should have done anything differently than she necessarily did. Okay. So I don't have an attachment to it. I can, and I didn't in past, I would have maybe called my other brother and been, can you believe mom did this? And you enlist people to see how right you are versus someone else being wrong. And in the end, I contemplated, should I say anything? Should I not say anything? And in this particular case, for me to maintain my peace, right? There was nothing. I felt like what I said here, after we allow, don't resist, and clarify, what do I need from this? I decided I don't need anything. I don't need anything, right? So I didn't say a single word about it. I have really seriously released it, right? Forgive myself for being sad that my mom, right? All the processes that we've taught you here, been able to release it, hold absolutely no resistance and grudge towards my mom about it, and never ask her to come to the boat again. Right? This is that I can allow you to be exactly who you are. I don't need anything or require anything, and I can create that boundary. All right. Anyone, that one again, these keys become more clear, I think, the more you apply them over and over again. Okay, that wasn't okay, gotcha. Susie, I hear that.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. And then we're moving in finally to the fifth key. Okay. And guys, you can see that on the screen as well. We identify who we are, right? And that identity accelerates the one that I actually want, who we are being in proximity to people. Okay. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Oh, I just lost my place. Essentially, what I mean by that is that your environment shapes you. Who you're around shapes you, right? How many of you have heard that, old adage, you are the sum of the five people that you spend the most time with, right? It's true, right? Who you are around, who you are being, definitely has an impact on your identity, the thoughts that you think, the feelings that you have about yourself and about other people. We learn through emulation. We have mirror neurons in our mind, in our brains, right, that help us with that. So, um, we want to be around people. This is the final thing I want to say. We want to be around people who normalize power, right? Not force, not pressure, but normalize the power that we are all given. We're created in the image of God, power, love, and a sound mind. Someone that embodies love, someone that lives with a sound mind, that blesses and releases non-useful judgments, that refuses to indulge in fear-led narratives, that treats your identity as the foundation for everything. These are the people who are calling you into your becoming. And we hope that you've seen that maybe part of that is Tammy and myself, right? We would love to help you call yourself into a greater level of being. And so we had a little exercise planned. It's like we're right at time together. We really want to be respectful of your time. So what we're going to ask you to do, rather than do that specific exercise, we are going to step into a portion of it. And then as you leave, equip you for that. And then hopefully, if you come back tomorrow, we can squeeze that in as well. And if you still have the ability to do that, if for some reason you haven't registered for the VIP experience tomorrow, that will be 60 minutes, so it won't be as, long as today, although we'll reference the keys and that kind of stuff. So I wanted to say this, everything that you've done today here with us has prepared you for this moment. You're going to release what was, reclaim your own power. Remember that you are here to create on purpose. So I want you to meet the woman that will create next year for you. Same time, Diana, same time. So 11 a.m. Central Time. So here's what I want to do. I want to invite you to close your eyes one more time. Let your feet be put on the ground. Allow your shoulders to drop. Block out everything else except for the sound of my voice. And I want you to imagine that you are the woman who has had embraced these 5 keys, and that you are just about to walk into a room with other powerful creators. She is the version that you are already living 2026 in by design. See her, feel her, sense her power, her love, and her sound mind. How does she stand? What's the posture of the woman who trusts herself completely? What's the energy that moves with her? What is the feeling in her body? What emotions does she live from? What does she think about herself? What beliefs does she hold about herself and others? What does she know is possible? What has she stopped arguing with? What does she no longer tolerate? What has she gently walked away from? What does she do with ease, without drama or force? And most importantly, what is the quality of her being and the identity that she creates from? Let her show you that. This woman is not a fantasy, you guys. She is not separate from you. She is you, releasing the things that don't serve you, and embrace that you create either unconsciously or consciously. Which do you choose? All right, thank you. You can open your eyes. One final thing, and then we were done, and we are right on time. Woo! Without the exercise, though, that breaks my heart. I would like for you to take this sentence as you're leaving today, and this will begin the creation of your own being blueprint. In 2026, I choose to be the woman who. You complete that sentence. One sentence spoken with intention or written with intention. Bring that back with you tomorrow if we're going to be together again tomorrow, and we hope that you will. We love and appreciate all of you so, so, so very much. Tammy, have any final words?
Just in closing, as I started, I think each and every one of you, and even the people that couldn't be here live that are going to watch this recording, just the blessing of trusting us. And again, my prayer, my mission is that if we can take these things into the world and share them with other women who, just like us, right, living in this place of this dance with life, and just gratitude and love, and pray that this was a blessing to you. And if we hope to see you tomorrow. And then lastly, we are on Monday. I don't know if we mentioned that. Monday, we will offer another bonus session. We wanted to give everybody a little time to process some of this. This is some deep work. Excuse me, coming off of a little under the weather. I don't know if you want to talk more about what that will look like on Monday, but that is going to be available for everyone as well.
Yeah, I put that on the screen. I think, Tammy, does everybody see that screen there? We do have a VIP session tomorrow where we'll go a little bit, not, I wouldn't say deeper. We're just going to elaborate a little bit more on a few things. And then Monday, same time, 11 a.m., we'll be here to answer questions. There won't be any presentation, no new material, but to answer questions. And then to, make you an offer to continue maybe working with Tammy and myself into 2026. It's going to be a beta founders type group. We want to make it the most effortless yes that you've ever had. It's going to be the creating work, that the creating perspective that we're talking about here, right? This is for every area of your life. And Tammy and I have immense experience in business, in your personal lives, and both of us have been in ministry as well. So anything we both believe we create everything, and so we want to help you create whatever it is that you want to create in 2026. So, all right, guys, we want to, like I said, respect your time. Replay. It will be our plan right now. It will be in the Facebook group, the one today. If you can't be here tomorrow and you did do the VIP, that will be emailed to you separately. Okay. All right, friends. Take care. Thanks so much for being with us. Look at your testimony. See if it kind of matched that. All right. Take care.
Yes. Uh-oh.
I'm going
I
to
want to hear this last part.
Yeah.
Yes,
Record.
this was definitely way more than, and it took me 4 attempts to try to get in today. I'm like, I've never gotten an email. It's nothing in spam. I reached out to Trish. I'm like, what am I missing here? I signed up 3 times and never got, anyway. So
Yeah,
I don't know what
working
it
on
was. It was me, but it was like I kept on saying, don't give up, don't give up. There's something you need today that you're working so hard to get here. So absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we're so grateful that you're
Yeah.
here.
I will be back tomorrow. So yes,
Okay.
awesome. All right. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Bye. Hi, Julie.